Hi everyone, this is Debbie Henderson from Debbie's Designs. I'm just going to give it a few seconds. Okay, I wanted to make sure you guys can hear me. I actually had to get a new microphone because mine died last week, so everything's working. So welcome to Tea Time and a Card, my weekly video on Facebook. I can see you guys all coming on. So tonight I'm going to be doing 6 cards with you. If you watched my video from last week using the Simply Zinnia collection, I made this easel card. I'm going to show it to you again in case you missed it. It actually looks like this, and it folds, and then this little sentiment holds it up. So while I was doing my video, I told you guys to hang on to the end that I was going to show you how to use one of the sheets from the Flowering Zinnias designer paper, and I forgot to show it to you. So I'm going to do that today. So here are the products from the Zinnia suite. I'm going to show you all of them. Hold on a second. So we've got the designer paper, the Simply Zinnia stamp set, and we have the dies. I am not using the dies tonight. You'll see why after I start showing you the card. Now, the paper is so pretty. I know a lot of you guys fell in love with it when I showed you last week. Please remember these products are from the online exclusives. That means they're not going to be around forever. You can't find any of these in the catalogs. So go to stampingup.com, look in the online exclusives, and you'll see all of the products. Now, the only thing that's not available right now, and it is coming back, are the sequins. These are called adhesive back shiny sequins. These are out of stock, but they are coming back. But I would suggest that you guys order the remaining products so you'll have them. And then when this gets restocked, you can order that. Now, the sheet that I'm talking about. So let me just show you quickly. I showed these last week. Look at the vibrant colors. I'll flip it over. And then these are the colors on the second side. This is the sheet I am using today because when I flip it over, look how pretty this is. I'm going to show you how I cut this into 6 pieces, and I made 6 cards, 6 identical cards. I'm not going to cut this one out, but I'll show you the pieces. Now, before I do that, you guys know that we have a new catalog coming in May. As demonstrators, we already ordered from this. If you join as a demonstrator, you'll be able to order right away if you don't want to wait. But for now, I can't show you what's inside until May. I'm trying to remember the date. May 1st, actually. I'll be able to show you the pages once the catalog goes live. I wanted to show you the 5 new in colors if you haven't seen them around on Facebook and other demonstrators. So these are the 5 new colors. I'm going to bring them up a little closer. I'm going to see how that looks on the camera. Okay, so you can see that pretty in pink. This is a returning color from quite a few years ago. And then we have Summer Splash, Peach Pie, Petunia Pop, and Shy Shamrock. They're all beautiful colors. I know I say that every year, but I wanted to give you a sneak peek of the colors. And another thing I wanted to show you today that I put up on Facebook today, I celebrated my 15-year anniversary with Stampin' Up! In February, and I got this in the mail a couple days ago. It's a little box from Stampin' Up! And every 5 years when you reach that 5th year, they send you a pin, and this is my 15-year pin. So I've been with the company for 15 years now, and I've had so much fun with all of you guys. So I just wanted to show that to you. Okay, so let's get going on the card for today. I'm going to show you all the products I used. I used the Nested Essential dies, and it's the larger one right here. For ink, I have Versamark, Berry Burst, and Mossy Meadow. I also have this ribbon. It's from a combo pack. It's got the green and the red. I'm using the green today. And of course, the adhesive backed shiny sequins. I'm also going to do a little bit of embossing, so I need the heat tool and white embossing powder. And let me get my layers out for you. So I've already done 4 of the cards. I'm going to bring the cards out first so you'll understand the layers. They're all the same. So there's 4. I'm going to do 2, the other 2 with you. So the card base that I'm using is Blackberry Bliss 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2. For the inside, basic white, 5 1/4 by 4. I don't normally do the inside of my cards, but because I have a little bit of designer paper left over, I glue it on the inside. I use the whole sheet. So there's my white. These are the 2 little pieces I have left. They measure 4 by 3/4 of an inch. Now let me bring the sheet back in so I can explain how I did the cutting. I don't want to cut this sheet right now, only because I'm not sure if I want to do the same type of cards with them. But what I did is I took my paper trimmer and I cut down the middle at 6. So cut right down the middle. And then you're going to go 4 inches and 4 inches. So all 3 are going to be 4 inches wide. At the bottom, I needed this to measure, I think it's 5. Whoops. 5 inches. So I went 5 inches. So you're going to have that little strip at the bottom left over. I should say 5 1/4. This is 5 1/4, not 5. So then you take the 1/4 inch that remains at the bottom of each sheet. I wanted to keep the white, so I didn't cut off the white after I cut 6. I cut 3/4 of an inch from the bottom. So you're going to have 6 pieces left to do the inside of your card. So I now have 2 left because I've already done 2 of the cards. Let me go ahead and fold on the score line. And because these are all identical cards, they really go quickly. Okay, there's my card bases. You'll notice that I have the different pattern on the bottom. That comes from this side. So I'm going to cut this. Let me bring my trimmer in. And I cut this at 1 1/2 inches. So I'm going to do both at the same time. I'm going to go to 1 1/2. Hold on, I'm going to make sure they're lined up. Okay, and that's where I get the 2 patterns. Now I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to get the bottom part. Now for my sentiment layer, you can do this in 2 ways. Because this is only 4 inches wide, this is a little bit wider. So I went ahead and cut 6 pieces, 4 inches by 1 1/4. And you can see that I've already cut one. I'll show you how I did that. Let me bring my machine over. And you can actually cut a whole piece and then cut it in half, but I found that it was too wide for what I needed, so I did them individually. Okay, now I'm going to make sure I'm in the camera. I'm going to put this right here. And what I'm looking for is to make sure both sides are about equal. And then I'm going to take a little piece of Post-it, put that on the inside, and I'm going to cut my label shape. Let me turn this way. So even though this is a large label, you can see how I used it to cut this really neat shape to put on my card to do my sentiment. So this is all I have left when I'm done. Okay, so now my next step is going to be to emboss with the white embossing powder. Oh, I almost spilled my M&Ms, you guys. Okay, so here is the Versamark ink. And the sentiment I'm using is Sending Flowers and Thinking of You. So I'm going to go ahead and ink that up. There's my first one. You know what? I should have asked you guys if you can hear me okay with my new microphone. Give me a thumbs up if everything is good. I find that the microphones that I bought a little bit more expensive one this time. They don't last very long and they end up dying. Okay, I see some thumbs up so you guys can hear me. I know my voice was very soft last week because I was not using a microphone. Okay, I'm doing the white embossing powder. You'll notice that I have a dish that it falls into. Okay, this one here. Okay, I don't like the way that turned out. Let me rub that off. I'm going to flip it over. I had a bunch that stuck to it for some reason. Where is my stamp? Right here. Let's try this again. Remember, there's always two sides to your cardstock. Okay, that's better. Now, I always keep my little brush handy just to remove some of the loose ones. Just kind of rub them with the paintbrush. And then I blow. I'm going to do the same thing here. You can see right here I have a lot on this edge. That's just because of static most times. Or if you handle the paper a little bit too much, sometimes you might have like natural grease on your fingertips. That could cause that as well. Okay, now I'm going to make a little bit of noise with my heat tool. I'm going to heat this up. But you can see how the white embossing powder really stands out on the Blackberry Bliss cardstock. Look how bright it's getting as it's melting. That's why I thought I would do some of the cards ahead of time so you didn't have to watch me do 6 identical cards. Okay, I have a little piece right here I don't like. Oh, and I can see that I missed the bottom of my Y. Oh, look, I just spilled some. Let's blow that away. There we go. Never run your heat tool when your container is open like I just did, because it tends to blow onto your projects. Okay, so there's my 2 sentiments. Now let me move this aside and let's bring this in. We're going to glue down the designer papers. Now what you'll notice, depending on how you cut your second layer, your designer paper, sometimes if it's too short, you'll see a little crack in the middle, which doesn't matter because we're going to cover it. I'm going to focus on the bottom of my card and see how I have a little bit of spacing there. That's going to be covered anyway. It was supposed to be 5 1/4 inches long, and I think I went a little shorter when I cut it. Nobody will know once it's covered. Okay, again, I'm going to measure on the bottom. So there's my 2 cards. Next, I'm going to glue this sentiment. Now, what I did, I want to show you a little trick that I did to help you. For those of you that have a hard time getting stuff on there straight. What I did is I just highlighted 2 lines. And then this is the height of the top of my sentiment. I'm just going to add this even with the bottom. And then I'm looking for this line right here. And this will make sure that my sentiment is on straight. I'm going to do the same thing on this one. And another thing you could do, my hands are pretty good, so I don't have to worry about shaking too much. You could always position your card, the first one you do, get a long strip of cardstock, put it up here and glue the 2 ends down, and it'll hold it in place for you if needed. Okay, so now again, I'm going to look for that line. Match up my lines. And there's my 2 sentiments. Next step is going to be to add the tear and tape above the sentiment. There's my first one. I love this paper so much that I think I'm going to order a second package. It's just so vibrant and so pretty. Okay, now I'm going to remove the backing. Whoops. Add some ribbon. I do let the ribbon extend on both sides, and then I just take my paper snips and I trim both ends so they're nice and flat. I do have these paper snips I use for ribbon only. That's why I have this charm on there that Stampin' Up! Gave us a few years ago. I strictly use this pair of scissors just for ribbon. I only have like 5 pairs of these because I love them so much. Our scissors are the best. Okay, again, there's my ribbon. Okay, there's my 2 cards. Now, the only thing I have left on these is to add the sequins. I added directly to the ribbon. It actually glues pretty well on the ribbon. If you think it's going to fall off, you can always add a little bit of Tombow multi-purpose glue. I just like the way it looks on the ribbon. It really stands out. Okay, so there's my 2 cards. Now I'm going to do the inside. So I've got these 2, basic white. I've got my leftover strips. I'm going to add that right to the bottom. Just a good way to finish using up those strips of designer paper. And then I'm going to glue those on the inside. So if you're doing all 6 of these, I would suggest cutting everything up and then just going down the line and doing production style. Okay, there's the first one. And I'm going to do a little bit of stamping on the inside. Show you what I did. I just did the flower, the zinnia, and the leaves. I'm going to start out with Berry Burst. And here's my flower. So there's 1 and 2. Next is Mossy Meadow. I'm going to do the leaf. Hold on a minute. I got something on my card. Okay. There's my leaf number 1 and leaf number 2. So again, I had done 4 cards ahead of time. So if you're going to do the whole sheet, and I'm going to bring the sheet back in so I can put it on here so you guys can see what it looks like in case you tuned in late. And here are my 6 cards. Aren't they pretty? They're simple, but they're so pretty because you don't want to cover up that designer paper. And tomorrow, for those of you on Facebook, I will actually pick 2 names and I'll send 3 cards to each person that I pick. So I hope you enjoyed my designer paper. I call it a designer paper challenge, 6 cards. And I don't know what I'm doing next week yet, but I will be back next week. And I hope my microphone was nice and clear. Thanks so much for joining me tonight, everyone. And I will see you next week. Bye-bye.